everybody, welcome back to Darlingbrough Model Railway. I'm Richard. You may have seen my first short which I published last week, and I was hinting at doing a weathering video, which is what I was going to do. The only problem is, when I came into my shed, I had a look around and I realised that my shed is pretty much upside down in a complete tip. And when it comes to my paints, which is obviously something that I would have used for weathering techniques, they are just basically plopped into a box all randomly. There's no kind of organisation and everything's a nightmare. So I have decided that before I do any weathering techniques or any more kind of building on the layout, I'm going to sort out my shed a little bit. And I've decided that I think the first thing I'm going to do is get my paints sorted. The problem is, as you can see, I have got a fair variety of different types of paint. I've got a mixture of the Vallejo, which I use for the airbrush that I have, various acrylic paints. I also tend to pick up a lot of tester pots. They're good for like dry brushing or if you're covering a large area. Obviously I've got a lot of spray paints, mainly primer, and basically a bit of a hodgepodge of random mixed paint. The box solution just wasn't cutting it for me, I'll be honest with you. And I was wondering what to do. Now I did have a look online, and there is obviously various storage solutions for different types of paint. Whilst having a look online, I came across a YouTube channel, Black 73 Cat Model Railways. And it's a new channel that has just caught my eye. Hosted by a gentleman called Graham, someone in a very similar situation to me, who is starting to build his very first model railway layout in a shed.
Hello there, welcome. First video on a brand new channel where I'm going to build a model railway. I've never built a model railway before, so this is going to be a new adventure, and I figured I'd share my progress and my processes on the magic of video as I go. And I'm a modeller. I build scale models, plastic kit models, tanks, aircraft, cars, ships, that sort of thing. And as you can see, I've got a bit of a sort of modelling studio set up, for the want of a better word. I've got a shed in my garden. It's a 10x12 summer house, and I've kitted it out purely for scale modelling. It's all fully insulated. You can see I've got all the kit around me. Got my lovely spray booth here, workbench, all my weathering products and tools and paints and everything else. It's just a space where I build scale models.
One of the videos that Graham has done is a shed tour, which is really worth watching. Go over and watch the video and tell him I said hi. He has got a lot of paint and model making materials, and they are really well organised. He's got a large shelved area on the back wall which he stores all of his paints, and I must admit I was incredibly inspired by that video. I've decided that that would be a really good storage solution for myself. I decided that it was probably going to be more beneficial for me to build my own. That way I can customise it and make sure that it is big enough to store everything that I want to store. It wasn't until I put all of my paints into a big pile that I realised exactly how much I actually had. The first thing I had to do was organise them. So for example, all the spray paints went together, all of the Model Air paints went together, the acrylics went together, etc. Now normally I'm not one of these people that like to tidy up, if I'm honest, but that was actually oddly quite satisfying almost therapeutic in a way. I went from having a big pile of paints that were just strewn everywhere, which was, I'll be honest, it was kind of annoying me a little bit, to having them all nice and organised and gathered together in groups. It was, yeah, really quite satisfying and comforting, really. It'd be interesting to know, are you the same? If you are, then give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, and let me know. Also, it would be interesting to know, do you like to sort out your paints and your model making materials? If you do, drop me a comment down below. Let me know if it's something that you enjoy or if it's something that you absolutely hate doing and you do it when there's literally nothing else to do. It would be interesting. Anyway, talking about getting things kind of arranged and tidied up, I need to gather all of the paints together and see if there's a fairly efficient way that I can group these together for storage. Great. I started to measure all of the different paints and make a note of the sizes, the width, the height, and see if there's anything quite similar. I soon realised the small Vallejo bottles are very similar in diameter to the small tubs of acrylic that I use. More or less. I also realised that the larger acrylic paints are the same size as the bottles. There is a height difference, admittedly, but if I'm not worrying about the height, then I can use a shelf for both of them. I did also notice that the tester pots have a very similar width to the width of my thinner. So again, if I had a shelf that was about the same width, I could store both on those as well. I needed to try and group any of these together as much as possible. Anything that was of similar size or similar sort of width or similar diameter, similar height. So I could maybe build a shelf unit that would accommodate maybe more than one type of paint. Once I'd come up with a rough idea, I got some scrap bits of wood and off camera I put together this. I did originally build this particular one with the tester pots in mind. However, I realised once I built it that it was a little bit too wide. It fits the spray paints a lot better. Now the only problem is it's a little bit short for all of the spray paints because I managed to find some in the back of a cupboard that I didn't even know I had. So yeah, I might have to build another one. I then decided to build a slightly smaller one for the tester pots, and this worked absolutely perfectly. I also calculated that the width of it would fit the tub of thinner that I use, and it does. It fits absolutely fine. Now in my initial design I was just going to use a bit of wood on the front of the shelves, but then I came up with the idea that if I used a piece of clear perspex strip, then I'd be able to see the paints a lot easier. It'd still do the same job and it would just look a little bit nicer. I did obtain a little bit of perspex. It came out of a shop display and they were literally throwing it out. So I did ask if I could have some. My idea was that I was going to originally use it for the drawbridge section of my layout. But as you can see, it's literally far too thin, it's far too flimsy, and it's of no use for that. I also had a bit of an accident with it, as you can see, and unfortunately I was in the process of throwing it out when I started to design this shelving unit, and I thought, do you know what, rather than throwing it out, waste not, want not, I can use this for the strips of the front of the shelves. Hallelujah. There you go. One strip. Not the perfect, but it will do. So at the moment, obviously I've only got the two that I've built, but I'm going to be continuing to build some more. Now I am planning on creating a system where I can put these on the wall and store them when I'm not using them, and then obviously I can just take them off if I do want to take them in the house. Now this is my storage solution, which obviously is going to work for me. Going forward I can see it's going to be working, but it would be interesting to know what storage solutions you guys use for your own paints and your model making materials. It would be really interesting to know. So what you can do is either drop me a comment down below, or if you send me a comment or a message through one of my social media channels, maybe send some pictures or a video clip of your storage solutions, as it would be really interesting to see how people tackle this issue. Do you have it nice and neat? Is it all on a shelf? Is it in a box? Let me know. Right, I'm going to have to go and take a trip out to my local hardware store, get some more bits and bobs and some materials, and finish off the shelves and shelving units. I am planning on using the strips where you can put them on and you can put the slats in, and that way you can have adjustable height shelves as well. Basically, so I'm not fixed with a shelf like this, and it'll be a little bit easier to organise. Speaking of taking trips out, last weekend my family and I went out to a model railway museum. No, we went out to an actual railway museum. I took the camera and I will be showing a video of that probably next week. So if you like that idea and you want to watch that and you haven't yet subscribed, then please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. On top of that, I have got some more videos planned for the near future, talking about weathering. I'll be putting some new wheels on these and just generally getting back to my layout as well, so don't miss out on that. Now, if you are enjoying the videos, enjoying the content, enjoying the channel, and you want to help support me, you can do by buying me a coffee. If you want to make a donation to buy me a coffee, as I say, any of the proceeds go back towards the layout and towards buying bits and kit and stuff for the channel. I really do appreciate it. It really does help me out. Massive thank you to Tim Darnell, who has recently bought me some coffees on the page. Really appreciate it, Tim. It is really amazing. So thank you very much for that. And in the meantime, don't forget you can watch some other videos that I have already done. There's some model making tips and hints, and let's compare some scenery techniques. So enjoy those and see you again next week. Bye.